I'd just kind of like to give a little moment of silence right here to honor all the victims and the brave firefighters and police, you know, that just risked their lives just going into those burning buildings, you know, when they didn't have to. The date is Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. I was 13 years old, starting my 8th grade year of grade school. We were only a week into school, too, because for us, I believe school started right after Labor Day. I woke up that morning feeling great, feeling refreshed. It was a beautiful day, like super sunny for an early September up in Wisconsin. You know, it was such a beautiful day. 70 degrees, just sun shining, beautiful. And I remember as I'm getting ready for school, if you guys around my age can remember the song by U2, Beautiful Day. You know, it's a beautiful day. Well, that song was playing on the radio as I'm getting ready, and I just remember thinking like it is just a really beautiful day. But little did I know that within an hour, everything was just going to come crushing down. So at this point in the day, none of the towers were hit. We were getting on the school bus, and the way that it worked at my school, you would get to school and then you would hang out in the commons area before the bells would ring, and then, you know, you would go to class. So still, everything is just going great. We're a beautiful day. And then the first tower was hit. And still, nobody, you know, word hadn't spread, so nobody knew. Well, the bells had rung to get to class, and so we all walked to our classes, and we walked into class, and we had a TV up in the corner, and it was on a news channel, and you could see one of the buildings burning, and, you know, reports were coming out that a plane had hit one of the World Trade Centers. And so I remember, like, just sitting there, like, talking to the other kids, saying, you know, like, how could a plane just hit one of the towers? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. Like, it didn't make any sense to any of us. So anyway, you know, we're standing there just watching the TV. Our teacher is frantic because she had a friend visiting New York City that day. And I forget if she was actually, like, supposed to be on a plane going to New York City or in New York City, but she had a friend, and she was frantic, she was crying. Other teachers were coming in, you know, trying to console her. You know, the teacher was just on the phone constantly trying to get a hold of her friend. And as we're all talking and watching the TV, that's when the second plane hit. And by this point, like, even as kids, we kind of realized that something wasn't right. So that's when another teacher came in and started turning off the TVs in the other teachers' rooms. The talk of terrorist attacks started, you know, flying. And throughout the day, after the towers were hit, like, I don't really remember going to the other classes and actually having, you know, having studies that day. the teachers were just really having a lot of heart-to-heart discussions with us kids. Oh man, this is like bringing up emotions that I haven't really expressed yet. I'm actually getting a little choked up. Man, a lot of unchecked emotions here, guys. And throughout the day at school, parents were picking their kids up from school. Outdoor recess was canceled for fear that more terrorist attacks would come for schools. And I remember, like, as kids were being picked up from school, and again, this was like before cell phones. This was before, like, you know, every kid in school had a cell phone. So randomly you would just hear kids getting called up to the office to go home. And so, you know, by the end of the day we had like half a class left, and throughout the day, you know, we would hear from other teachers we would hear the teachers talking to other teachers, saying, you know, the other attacks that had happened, you know, the Pentagon being hit, and then the plane going down in Pennsylvania. And so, you know, we get on the buses, we go home. You know, the bus drivers had it, you know, playing on the news, you know, pretty much all the updates and, you know, things that had happened. So when I get home, I usually would beat my dad home from school, but my dad was home already. So my mom and dad were just glued to the TV watching everything that was going on, and I was able to actually see both the towers fall at that point. Because actually in school I don't remember if we seen any of the towers fall, because I think they had turned off the TVs by that point. But so I'm just sitting there, you know, my parents, you know, are holding each other. I walk in, they give me a big hug, and so you know, we're watching the replays of the plane hitting. We're watching the replays of the towers falling, and then they had released a video of the Pentagon being hit. And my dad works for like a chemical kind of paint place, and he actually brought home full face respirators, the ones that like cover your whole head, and he had brought those home just out of fear, you know, out of like fear and preparation that more attacks might be coming. And at the time, you know, I kind of thought it was funny, you know, I thought he was being really paranoid, but as a parent now myself, you know, I totally understand. And at the time I was actually in a youth football league, and we were scheduled to have practice that night. But again, this was before cell phones and everything like that, so we didn't know if practice was still going on or anything like that. But we showed up, and again, like only half the kids showed up that night. And so when we get there, you know, we're all suited up, ready to go. And the coaches all kind of pulled us together in a big huddle. You know, we had, you know, all the parents were standing out there watching. We had one of the kids that we played with, his father was a deputy for the sheriff's department, which he's actually now the Sheriff David Beth. You know, so like, you know, everybody was out there, and so instead of actually having practice that night, the coaches and the assistant coaches all pulled us in a big huddle and, you know, told us to take a knee. And, you know, the coaches were having another heart-to-heart with us, like our teachers were. We didn't practice that night. The coaches just, you know, told us to go home and be kids for the day. And so, like, one of the biggest things that I remember was since all the planes were grounded. I don't remember for how long. I don't know if it was like a week or what, but football practice the rest of the week. So during practice, we would be doing our stretches and our warm-ups, where, you know, we would lay on the ground, look up at the sky, and, you know, do our leg lifts or, you know, whatever else we were doing. And I just remember you would always see planes, you know, flying around, you know, private planes, you know, just for your own buzzing around. And, you know, for that week or 2 weeks or whatever it was, not a single plane in the sky. And that was probably the most eerie feeling that I can remember, is just how quiet everything was. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys remember September 11th, you know, let me, you know, tell me what it means to you. You know, if you were a kid who hadn't even been born yet, you know, what does it mean to you? You know, I want to hear, I kind of want to hear your guys' view of it, since, you know, you weren't around. You weren't around for all the, you know, all the fear and, you know, just not knowing what was going to happen next. And I really got to say that because of September 11th, it's really kind of shaped like who I am today. It was almost like at that moment, it's almost like at that moment we stopped being kids and we realized that there was evil out there. You know, that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so into, you know, like the military, guns, self-defense, because at a young age I realized that there's evil out there. You know, there are people, you know, trying to kill you for no reason. You know, there are people out there that, you know, their only goal is to do you harm. So I know this was kind of a depressing vlog, but the whole sequence of events is depressing. So on this 15th anniversary of 9/11, go home, hug your loved ones, tell them how much you love them, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Tomorrow did not come for thousands of people who are like you or me. And thousands more have died, ensuring our freedom and our way of life. So when you're out here on your motorcycles, when you're out here just doing what you love, you know, you got to thank them. And I know some of you might disagree with me. Some of you might say that it was all an inside job, it was all staged, it was all a hoax. You have your opinion. I lived through it, so I have my opinion. I'll see you guys later.